Hello everyone, the CD's been here back with a new album review. And today I am reviewing the newest album by multi-instrumentalist and singer-songwriter Mitski. Now this review is gonna be interesting, and that's because I've never really gotten into Mitski or loved her like that. I know, I feel like I should be loving her since really all my friends online and offline love her as well. But for some reason, nothing has really clicked. You have her last album in 2018, Jesus Christ, almost 4 years, which is Be the Cowboy, and while it does have some of her best tracks, like A Pearl, Me and My Husband, Washing Machine Heart, for example, it's probably the least consistent Mitski album as a whole. It really just ends up being decent at best. But then there are the two albums that I would really describe as being part of Mitski's middle part of her discography, being Bury Me at Mayhill Creek and Puberty 2, which are probably her best two records for me personally. They're not perfect by any means at all, but unlike Be the Cowboy, they're pretty consistent and offer up great lyricism and really good tracks. And then there are the two records of her early career, which are Lush and Retired from Sad, which I have similar thoughts about for the two. Meh. Look, they're moody and lyrically they're pretty good, which I do like, but really they're kind of just like rushed student projects. I know that'll anger a lot of Mitski fans, but for me it's just the truth. However, all of this isn't to write Mitski off completely. I still think she's very, very talented and really has yet to make an album that really sticks and is consistently great. But all of this out the window, let's review the new Mitski record, Laurel. Valentine, Texas is the opener of this record, and it's pretty damn good. I love that part where it breaks out from quiet to loud. I just love songs that like go from quiet to loud in a matter of seconds. Think of the song Valentine off of Snail Mail's last record in 2021. It's pretty elegant and a pretty opening track, and Mitski's vocals are really good. The production is a little bit odd. That's pretty much throughout the whole record, but on this track, it complements the sound and the track pretty well. And then there is the track, which is also a single, Working for the Knife. It's not bad. It's not great. I feel like it's kind of awkward and attempts to blend different sounds, but it ends up a little strange. That melody is really pretty though, so I can't really hate it much at all. Stay Soft is another track that is pretty good. The production and mixing is, once again, a little bit questionable. It sounds polished, yet a little messy. But the track itself is a bit of a throwback, and when that sort of works, I feel like there's something of it that stops me from really loving it, but it's quite nice, and it's put together pretty well. The next song is Everyone, which I don't really like that much at all. The production is something that I'm going to keep complaining about consistently, but I just don't really like how it sounds most of the time. The song, though, is aggressively mediocre. It's just quite boring and repetitive and doesn't have really any hook at all, which isn't a necessity or anything in a song, obviously, but it would really help at a song like this. Kind of lazily fades out with no conclusion or anything, and the song doesn't really have a start or an end, which I personally do not like. Heat Lightning is the next track, and it is also a single. It doesn't really strike me as having that much single power at all, but it's not bad. Once again, this track doesn't seem to have really any structure at all, which is a common theme throughout songs off this record that really hurt the album. The next song, which is also a single, is The Only Heartbreaker, and it is a breath of fresh air. This one does actually have single power. It's a fast-paced throwback to the 80s, and the production and mixing doesn't actually sound distant and muddy for no reason. I love the direction this track takes as it goes on, and it's really just creative and interesting, which sounds weird in contrast to the other songs among it. And then Love Me More is yet another single, and it's like The Only Heartbreaker Part 2 in a way, which I'm not necessarily complaining about. This whole record could have been exactly that, an exciting throwback to the 80s with the regular Mitski charm and personality. But yeah, once again, I really do like this track, not as much as the other one necessarily, but it's pretty much the same thing. I have pretty much the same thing to say about the last track that I do Should Have Been Me, except that it's not very interesting at all. This album can be interesting, but it's very badly structured. Like, I don't really know, man. I Guess is another very, very mediocre song. I do really like the lyrics, but what is this boring, drowned out, and uninteresting approach? It does kind of remind me of something that would be on Lush, but that's not very good considering that was essentially just like a student project from her early career. And besides the closer, which was cool, but I don't really have much to say about. That's it. Look, while there are bright spots on this record, it's yet another Mitski album that I just cannot get into at all. This record's direction is really non-existent. It feels like yet another early Mitski album, and considering the point that she's in at this point, that's a little bit disappointing. Any of the edge and personality that Mitski had has seemingly disappeared. And look, I know I don't usually like Mitski that much, but even this is a bit under her ability. What would I recommend in the future? A consistent, forward-thinking, and quick album that is pure Mitski would be great to hear, but for now, this album can be quite boring and random for a lot of the runtime. I'm feeling a decent, strong 5 out of 10, and that's about it, guys. See ya.